Hi, it's Kurt Billups with the Institution of Spiritual Development. Thank you for joining me today. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about overcoming negative emotion. I'm going to take a beeline approach, try to get us there very quickly. There are 4 steps to overcoming negative emotion. We all suffer and deal with negative emotion because thought doesn't belong to anybody. Thought belongs to the universe, and we're able to pick up thought, and we're able to grab thought. And if our channels are conducive to the thoughts that are coming in, then we'll normally grab those thoughts. So, number 1 step to overcoming negative emotion or negative feeling is to remember that there are only 2 emotions that we need to be concerned with. That's love, which is the strongest of the 2, and then there's fear. So the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is actually fear. And anytime we're experiencing a negative emotion, a negative feeling, whether it be a thought, if we have a negative action, it is rooted, a negative word, it is rooted in some sort, some fear it's associated with. So the first thing is to know that when we fall into a negative state of mind, a negative state of reaction, there is some fear there that we need to address. And it needs to be addressed quickly, because the quicker we own up and acknowledge that there's a fear there, we'll be that much closer to overcoming that negative feeling. Number 2 is to really clearly define fear. What does fear really mean? You know, I once heard fear just as an acronym fashion. I heard it stated that fear is false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. I also heard a very enlightened, powerful spirit by the name of Elijah, who channeled Thoth, say that fear is forgetting everything amidst the realization of who and what we truly are. So it's in that moment of fear that everything that we're going through becomes so much more real than the inherent, innate ability to overcome obstacles, to change our perspective, to change our perception, and to change the world around us, in the world as we see it. It is that moment when we're in that angry position, when we're in that confused position, when we're in that desperate position, when we're in that needy position, that we forget that we are connected to the source, that we are from the source, and that the source is housed in this body. That source of all life and everything that is in creation, and the source of all energy and all light and all vibration. So we have that. That is in us. But in the moments of fear, this is when we'll forget that. This is when we'll come out of that box. Everything else becomes real outside of us, and what's inside of us becomes less real. So we have to clearly define fear. That's number 2. Number 3, we got to remember how fear works. Fear uses memory to keep us bound. Fear uses memory to throw us off balance. It also needs memory to support itself. Now let me be very clear about fear. I'm not saying that fear is a bad thing. Fear is an emotion that we need. Otherwise, it would not be there. We need fear. Fear can actually get us out of trouble. Knowing when to fight or flight can actually help us in those situations. Now, with that being said, fear misplaced can actually cause us a lot of strain, a lot of stress, a lot of mental anguish, which the end result is physical damage to our body. And so fear misplaced can be very damaging. Now, fear uses memory to support itself. So what happens, we experience something first through our heart brain, through what we call the intrinsic cardiac ganglion. And we have an electromagnetic field, all of us do, that emanates from the heart and can span outwards of 6 feet from one individual to the other. And as a matter of fact, if you were to use a echocardiograph and to measure the electromagnetic field from an individual, you can actually pick up these frequencies. Our physical world is made up of these two, electricity, and magnetism. So this is the components of the physical world, and this happens to be something that your body naturally emits. The brain as well has an electromagnetic field. However, the electric field of the heart is 100,000 times stronger than the electric field of the brain. The magnetic field of the heart is 5,000 times stronger than that of the human brain. And so the brain, I'm fascinated with the human brain. We can't even begin to. We're scratching the surface on what the human brain is really capable of right now. With that being said, the evidence is now showing us that the heart is a much wiser. It's an older organism, and it actually possesses 40,000 neurons in it, and communicates with our brain, picks up information a lot faster, and is a lot quicker and a lot more efficient. And we'll talk about the heart brain in a later video. But again, we experience the world around us. And as we're experiencing the world around us, we're generating memories, okay? We're generating past, present, and future memory. Somebody wants to ask me what is future memory. Future memory is no different than what you plan to do today and executing on what you decided to do today. It's also those thoughts, that preoccupation with the outcome of situations. So we generally, most of us generally deal in either one of those two realms most of the time, in our past, or we're constantly preoccupied with our future outcomes. Well, memory is important for us, but again, this is what anger uses to, fear uses to support and sustain itself. And it's really found in this region of the brain. So it comes into our electromagnetic field. Our first two senses, which is electric and the magnetics, picks this stuff up. Picks it up before taste, smell, all that stuff. That field that coming from your heart is just as keen of a sensory organism as any other sensory mechanism you would use. Your eyes, your nose, your taste, your smell. See? So we have to learn how to use this stuff. Now, it goes up the spinal cord, up the medulla oblongata, into the hippocampus region. The hippocampus region of the brain is actually responsible for memory. This is where most memory, where all memory is stored, in that hippocampus region. From the hippocampus, it then goes to the amygdala. The amygdala can be seen as sort of the bouncer of the brain. The amygdala decides on what information carries enough emotional weight to kind of hang around in memory, as what I'll call primary memories, right? Prime memories. The amygdala makes that decision. So again, you experience certain things, you go through these experiences, there's some serious neurological activity happening, and then the next thing you know, fear is latched onto some memory, and you feel miserable, and you don't quite know why you feel miserable. So remember, fear is using both past and future memory to do this to you. So what's the way out? If we can acknowledge, number one, that there's only two emotions, love and fear, that all negative emotion, thought processes, actions, deeds are associated with fear, number one. Number two, we own up to, we define fear, false evidence appearing real, forgetting everything amidst the realization of who and what we truly are. Number two, we define fear. We're forgetting at that moment. We're afraid of something at that moment. What are we afraid of? Ask ourselves in that moment of anger, in that moment of negative energy, what am I afraid of? Number 3, fear is using memory. Fear is using memory. So ask ourselves, what memory is fear using right now to make me feel the way that I feel? What memory is fear calling on so I can face that memory and not allow fear to take my present moment into my past to be judged or into my future to be judged, but to bring my past and my future into my present moment, which is what we really have control over, so that they can be judged in the present by who I am today. This is the only way to keep your days new. Because if you're caught up in a time before that doesn't exist anymore, or you're caught up in a time ahead of you that doesn't exist anymore, in essence, you're not existing. In essence, you're not in control. In essence, you're in a place that you have no control over. So if we bring it into the present moment, bring everything into judgment now, into judgment here, we then start to really address our fears and really begin to overcome them. So the fourth and final point is that we cannot rely on memory alone. If we get to a place where we're relying on memory alone, it can actually put us in a very dark space. All of us have been through something. And if we only functioned off of those memories of past failures, past disappointments, past hurts, past things that we were not so happy or proud of, if we allowed those memories to tell us who we are today, then they probably would give us a less than favorable opinion of ourselves. So it definitely is a thing of wisdom not to place so much importance on memory. Every day should be started anew. Every day we should realize that we stand above the past and the future when we stand in the present. So again, I hope that this helps you. The goal is to help us take a beeline approach to overcoming negative emotions, negative feelings. We need them. They're very helpful, but we don't need to get stuck there. And so I'll be bringing out more talks on dealing with the neurological pieces that make us who we are, the nurturing parts versus the nature parts. And then also we want to start to really delve into the heart brain and the synthesis that we must create between the heart brain and our the brain in our skull in order to have a more harmonious, happy life. So with that being said, just remember that if you're having a negative emotion, it's coming from fear. If you're having a negative emotional feeling, it's coming from fear. Number 2, remember, fear is false evidence appearing real. It's forgetting who you are at that moment when you're so frightened and you can't quite put your hand on it. You're forgetting that you are the source. You are connected to the source. You have access to unlimited power. Number 3, we have to remember that it's a memory there. There's a memory associated with this fear. And it doesn't have to be a personal memory. It could be something you read, a story you were told, a movie you watched. If it had enough emotional weight, remember the amygdala is going to grab a hold of it and it's going to store it. And so some of the memories that you're using, or that fear would use, may not even be memories that belong to you. So we can never pay enough attention to our thinking. We can never pay enough attention to our thinking. And number 4, don't rely on memory alone. We cannot rely on memory and have a bright present moment. So that's all we have for now. I hope this helps. I look forward to reading some of the comments and feedback, and again, challenge my thinking. I'm one guy, and I don't claim to have any corner on thought. I don't think that anybody does, and it's either the truth is present through you, or the truth is not present through you. There is no claim to fame when it comes to the thought realm. So, with that being said, I hope this helps, and I look forward to chatting with you later on. Thank you.